And now.
I wonder how many times a month we do that.
We can't, the first few minutes, we can never be serious.
No, nor the last few minutes.
First and last is, all right, guys.
Sometimes in between.
Yeah, so we have, we're very excited to have a guest, and I'm sure he's sitting there waiting patiently for me to let him in. We can see him, but you cannot yet. His name is Mike Crum, and we'll bring him on in a second, but he's a master resiliency trainer at Task Source here in Wisconsin. And he's worked a lot with veterans in the National Guard and in other locations. He's done a lot of outreach and suicide prevention as well. He's been in the veteran community for a long time, and he was in the Marine Corps. So Mike and I have known each other for probably 4 or 5 years now, just being in the veteran community, and we did a lot of work together through Salute the Troops. And as we promised a while back, Fritz and I were going to start bringing professionals in different trades in different areas to come on and help us and help you with putting some more tools in your belt. So we're excited. He is one of our very first outside of Frank coming on and just giving us a little bit of his professional background and helping us put some more tools in our belt. So we will bring him on right now. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay? You can't hear me. You can't hear me? Hello? Mikey.
I can hear him.
I can hear your background. Can't hear you. Oh, he left. That's okay. He'll be back.
You might have to send him another invite, though.
I may have to send him another one. Hold on just a second. He may pop back in and out. Ah, you can put a man on the moon.
Just can't put him in a broadcast.
Put him in a broadcast. All right. We'll see if he's back again.
There he is. Can you hear us now?
We got you? Hello? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? No. Can't unmute your guest. Their mic isn't connected.
Oh. Saying your mic isn't connected. Is that why it's on?
I can't hear you. I can't unmute you.
Well, what the heck? So Kim titled this one, Tools in Your Belt. And we're not talking about, I'm assuming we're not talking about screwdrivers and wrenches.
No, definitely not. It looks like there's an alarm going off in his hotel room. Hey.
Hey, how are you?
Hi. What's going on behind you?
There's a fire alarm going off in the hotel room.
Are you just having a party? Because it looks like a big strobe light in the background.
Yeah. So weird.
Oh, it's so typical of us to just keep going, right?
I'm all for it.
Do you need to leave and go outside as per instructions on the back of the door?
I don't know. I feel pretty safe. Like I don't smell any smoke or fire.
Well, I'm glad we got you on. I could not unmute you on my side. So thank you for coming on Own Your Life. This is Coach Fritz, and I'm Kim. You know me. So
how you doing, Mike?
Hey, Coach.
So I have already introduced you on the side where you couldn't see yourself as to who you are and what you do and how long we've known each other and the connection with the National Guard and coming in and being a part of some of our suicide prevention that you've done for us. And outside of that, just knowing you in the veteran community and having served and all those things. So I heard you yesterday on live, just like this one, talking about a lot of things that Fritz and I teach on in Own Your Life. And I thought, oh yeah, we're definitely having him come on because
Thanks.
we want to be able to add some more tools to the tool belt of a lot of the people that watch us every day. And so with Own Your Life, we really focus on the real talk, you know, the real journey, the things that you're going through. And him and I used to sit around in the coffee house and talk about all of the trainings that we've had, all of the life experiences that we've gone through, all of the bumps and bruises that we have. And, you know, wouldn't it be neat if we could talk to more people? Because people in passing would say, you know, that's really good stuff. You know, you guys should teach that or put it in a book or whatever. So when COVID hit, we had just really started having classes in a location where we were simply asking questions of people and trying to get their mind in a different place. And it was working really well. We had 20 people coming in, and then we were all told to stay away from each other. So, right. So we turned it around and thought that now is really the time when people want to connect like we are right now. So how do they do that when they're not used to it? And well, we went to work. I think the first day we were together, we sat at the table for like 7 hours, something like that.
Something like that.
Drank coffee and developed a company called Own Your Life. So that's pretty much how it went. So now we're developing programs and we're doing some one-on-one coaching and things like that. But it all comes down to, you know, courage, vulnerability, you know, being real and honest, the belief system that Fritz said, you know, remapping of your thought process and all of the shit that happens to us in our lifetime that guides us without even realizing it, right? And I really enjoyed your piece about vulnerability yesterday when you were talking. And, you know, these people like to hear from us, but I'm sure every once in a while they really want to hear from somebody else. So.
You bring up a really good point in beliefs, value systems. We all have them, right? We have different beliefs based off of where we were raised, based off of experiences, based off of trauma, and those things that give us a perception of who we are. But maybe that perception is, I'm weak, I'm not strong, I don't have the ability to better myself. And that's where we talk about like resilience or understanding my own thoughts so I can do better and being able to have the courage to speak up and ask for help. It's difficult, it's not easy. And that's why I think shows like this is important, or having just discussions on social media. How do we talk to other people? How do I express how I feel? And on the other side, just having somebody to listen is just important.
Exactly. And it takes a lot of courage, right? I just want to pause for just a second and talk about the elephant in the room. I'm getting a little bit of an echo on my side. Am I echoing badly to you as well?
Yes.
Interesting. Now we have double mic. Now I'm going to try to remove this mic.
There we go.
Did that help with the echo at all?
I don't hear an echo anymore.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's good. That was it.
It was the double mic that was in the background. So.
Okay.
You just got a new hat.
Yay!
Tech advisor.
Tech advisor. All of a sudden, yeah, this is how it works. So you know, it is, and this has become kind of that safe space for people to listen and then to reach out privately to us on questions that they have. And sometimes we'll get a really nice stream of comments and things that are coming in about, you know, what they're going through and the questions that they have, or an aha moment. But a lot of times they'll come through on private message, either, to one of us, not directly together, but an email or a phone call or a text message, even from somebody that we don't even know they're watching.
Mhm.
And there's no bigger compliment to know that they feel safe in this space to be able to come in and feel like they're a part of something, even though they're not letting anybody else see them. And I think for me, certainly, I spent a lot of years behind closed doors and really afraid to share my experiences for fear of being judged. Right. So, right now we live in obviously this social media crazed Instagram world where things aren't always as they seem. And, the thing that Fritz and I hold closely is our realness to everything that we're going through in building this business, the questions that we have, the insecurities, the traumas, the hardships, we come on and we're not even coherent sometimes because we've used our brain so much all day that it's not always supposed to be perfect. And that's what we want to make sure that people understand is life isn't perfect. And even though you may think by a picture online that they've got their shit together, a lot of times we're like, is this going to work? Do we know what we're doing?
I mean, it wouldn't be really hard to go down to Milwaukee, go to the marina, sit in front of some big ass yacht, take a selfie,
right,
post it and say, yeah, follow us.
Yeah,
we're good.
I got it all together.
And how many people do that? And then we've talked about living for that freaking like button. That just irritates the hell out of me, people that do that. They put all their stock. And see, I love social media because I think it has its place, but it can be as damaging because people live for that like button. Like if they don't get a lot of likes that day for something that they post that they think is great, and only 5 or 6 people like it, then their whole confidence goes right down the drain.
Yeah, there's this sense of instant gratification, right? If I post something, I want to come back 20 minutes later and see how many people like that. Or different kind of conversations of attitudes or beliefs that we have versus, if we talk about the political climate or COVID or memes and videos and so many things out there that drive thoughts in our head. And if I see something, it's going to drive a thought, and that thought is going to drive an emotion and a reaction. And a lot of time it's a counterproductive emotion or reaction because I see something and now I'm mad, now I'm angry, now I'm pissed off, or now I'm sad, and that's going to affect the rest of my day. Or I'm all of a sudden going to go become a keyboard warrior and insert my own opinion and boom, 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 boom. Now I'm in arguments and now I'm, whatever. And I can't, some people, just that self-awareness piece of I'm not in control of that situation because now my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions are taking control. And I really need to take a step back and figure out why what I just saw elicited that kind of emotion and reaction. And that's something I've been trying to be more aware of as well. I don't need to comment right away. I don't need to like something right away. I don't need to do that anymore. It's if I post something, it's maybe about a reflection of something that I learned, and maybe somebody else can connect with that. I talked to my son about social media too, like kids and social media, and that instant gratification. Those connections and those people are there, but are those really those true connections for when I'm in a time of need? Are those the people that are going to really be there for me? Or do I have other people outside of that when I am in a time of crisis that I can reach out to, that I can pick up the phone, that I can call? Mm-hmm. And I don't think we think about that, right? So yeah, social media is one aspect of my life, but I need to connect to people on a deeper level as well. So that way when I am in crisis, or I do need help, or I do need to text somebody, I know that person is going to be like, okay, what can I do for you? Or how can I help you today? Or whatnot. And yeah, I get those messages all the time too. And, out of the blue or in the middle of the night or whatever. So that makes me humble that people can reach out. But then on the other end, I don't know what you're going through, but let me figure out how to help you. Let me figure out which direction to send you. Let me figure out if I'm the best person for you. I'll listen, and then we'll try to deal with what you're dealing with together. And I think sometimes we just lose that sense of community, belonging, and together and purpose because we are so wrapped in Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all those things, right? And when we're talking about this post-COVID, because people were in it for 3 months, 4 months, this is how I'm going to connect. I don't want to watch the news, whatever. I'm online all the time. Now, how do I disconnect from that to reconnect again to people around me? And that's hard.
Right.
Yeah, that is hard. And, you know, owning a coffee house, I'm kind of on the other side of that, where I actually get to really connect, and I can see how people would crave that connection when they come in. You know, they're coming in with a mask on, obviously, and they're trying to just navigate and figure out if this is the right thing to do, and they still feel uncomfortable about it. Because, you know, when you go to the grocery store, you go somewhere in public and you're not wearing one, where you don't have to wear one. You know, now it has flipped. Before, it was weird that people were wearing masks. Now, if you're not wearing a mask, you feel like, oh my God, I'm going to get stoned if I don't put it on. And so when they come in to see me to get something to drink or whatever, there's a different kind of connection. It's more of I feel like a humanitarian now, more
Right.
emotional humanitarian, that people just want to know that they can come in and actually stop long enough to have a conversation with me. And, you know, fortunately, Fritz is usually in there and we're creating business while we're doing coffee all at the same time. And, you know, he gets to overhear a lot of these conversations, and, you know, people are very frustrated. Some come in angry. Some are just quick to, I'm in and out. I don't want to get you sick. Everybody's afraid of their own shadow. And so as a resiliency trainer yourself, you know, what questions are you getting right now? Obviously, people are coming to you because of what you do, but what seems to be the one thing that they're coming to you with most?
I think it's the common fear, and how fear drives uncertainty, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes people naturally, based off of experience or where they lived, or they've had other, you know, their family members are affected, or just different things. Fear is fear. It drives anxiety and different things. But you add that uncertainty piece to it. I'm just uncertain about how this is going to affect my family or my kids, or do I send my kids to school, or other things. And that drives a whole different kind of sense of anxiety, depression, sadness. I'm just going to sit in my house for 3 months and not come out, or whatever. And it's hard to be in control of those thoughts that drive kind of counterproductive emotions. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think sometimes what I talk about, or what we talk about, is you have this idea of being closed-minded, right? I'm not going to wear a mask because whatever reason. I'm just not going to do it. Okay. And I kind of had that attitude at first. Or you can be kind of skeptical, like, I might wear a mask here and there if I have to go into a store or whatever. I'll do it to do it. Or I'm just going to be open-minded to learn. And I think me personally, I've been just more open-minded to learn that it's really not about me. It's about other people around me. And if it's going to make them feel more safe or whatever, it's right. Really not hurting me in the long run. I'll just put on a mask and that's fine. So this idea of, if I can help ease somebody else's uncertainty or fear, I'll just put on a mask. It's not really, you know, affecting me or my day a whole lot. And that's, I think, where we talk about things like humility, empathy versus sympathy, vulnerability, being vulnerable, to have a different mindset, to maybe help other people feel more comfortable in that situation. So it's not the easiest thing in the world to admit that, you know, you're going to change your mind, or you want to change your mind, or that kind of stuff. But who is it really hurting at the end of the day if you just put on a mask?
I got it. And you did say that you have to be present with your own thoughts. And yeah. A lot of times when Fritz and I are coaching somebody, we're obviously hearing their language and understanding that we have to change their thought process, because they're kind of on autopilot, right? We say things without even thinking about them because we've always said them. And so, when you talk about resiliency, right, you've got to start changing the way people talk about things, especially when they're super sad.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, before we can change those things, we have to recognize those patterns in our thinking. Are those patterns in our thinking creating sadness? Are they creating anxiety? Are they creating anger or aggression? Now that I'm aware of those patterns, what are the events that are creating those patterns? Because events happen, but certain events trigger those thoughts. And now my thoughts are going to create emotions and reactions. And when it comes to emotions, a lot of people, I think, just struggle with the verbalization of what that emotion is. I know that I'm thinking I'm mad, I'm pissed off, I'm sad, I'm angry, and I might be able to see it in my demeanor or whatever. I just don't know how to tell somebody that. And I think that's kind of what we struggle with the most of, if I have to tell somebody this, now I have to be vulnerable. Now I have to open up. And on the other end, I don't know how that other person is going to react, right? Because the other person's body language or the text message that you get back, man, I'm having a really bad day. Sucks to be you. That's not what the person wanted to hear, right? And I think sometimes, we're so quick to respond or whatever, and we think that we're joking, but that other person is like, well, I really needed you to listen in that moment, and your response was, sucks to me. Yeah, it sucks to me, but I'm reaching out to you. So how do I try to be more empathetic to say, hey, I'm not sure what you're going through, but let's talk about it. Or even, hey, listen, I need 30 minutes before I can really be in the right mindset or the right frame to talk about this. Give me 30 minutes. Give me 20 minutes, and I'll give you the next 2 hours or whatever. And I think that works out a lot of times, at least for me, because we have to be in our own proper mindset to deal with people in crisis and stuff too. But then at the end of the day, how do I take care of myself so I can do it again tomorrow or the next day or the next day? And sometimes we forget about that because we get so wrapped into, people reaching out and I want to help everybody. Well, yeah, that's great. But I need my own limits and my own boundaries too, or else I'm not going to be okay to help the next person that does reach out.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, that self-care piece is very important. And, people like ourselves who do this for a living, we can forget that very easily and just want to go on this health mission that's unstoppable and just continue to go. And then you go home at night and you're like, why am I so tired? Why am I so angry? Why do I have this anxiety? Why am I feeling so anxious? And it's because we've just not dropped that energy or taken the time in between sessions or what have you to just dump. Because we got to do that too.
Yeah, and we see this, or at least I see this in other helping professions. Some of the work we do with law enforcement and EMS and fire, police, just that mental struggle every day to continue to do what they do. It's only July, and throughout the United States have already been 100 law enforcement suicides. And it's the trauma, it's the day in and day out, it's the lack of self-care and things, or lack of resources too. So really, a lot of times people are like, Mike, you're a bleeding heart liberal social worker. I'm like, well, I don't know about that, but I know my limits, right? I'm not going to go in and help everybody all the time. I'm going to do it when I'm mentally prepared to be able to do it, because I know that's when I'm at my best, right? If I can't help somebody, I'm going to guide them to the right resource or the right person, or I'm going to bring somebody else in. And I think when we talk about, this post-COVID stuff and how do we connect to each other, to other resources, and how do agencies talk, and how do we really support the community out there that is in crisis? A lot of organizations try to do it by themselves. It's like, well, we're here to help too. Let's help each other. Let's talk about how we can share resources and different things. And that's an important part of building community too.
Yeah, and Fritz and I have had conversations with our local law enforcement to really be a part of their trainings from the beginning, from the academy and all the way through, because I think the resistance we're getting now is that, well, we've never had it before, so why is it important now? And just asking because I'm outnumbered here, that, you know, testosterone is outnumbering. Do you find it, I know from the veteran community, it's really, really difficult for men to come forward and say that I'm struggling in this area, whatever that area is. So how would you help from a male's perspective for any men out there that are watching that are totally hearing what you're saying? They're connecting to you right now, but they just don't know how to come forward or who to call or how to even ask for assistance, because sometimes they can't put their finger on it. They just know that something's not right.
Just tell me that. Listen,
Yeah.
something's not right. I'm not okay. I don't know what it is, but I want to try to figure it out. Okay, let's figure it out.
Mhm.
That's it, right? It's
It
just
is.
saying, I'm not okay. All right, I'm listening. Let me know what's going on in your life right now, and we'll figure it out. Whether that's a relationship or financial or work or stress, just things in general, right? Because typically there's certain events that happen or certain triggers or just stress and it piles up. I don't need to know the whole story. Just tell me you're not okay and I'll listen. I think sometimes we get overwhelmed with having to tell our stories over and over and over. Well, I went to the counselor and I had to tell them. I went to the VA and I had to tell them. I went to whatever and I had to. You don't need to tell me all that. Just tell me you're not okay, and we'll try to work through it. I don't need to know your whole story. And I think sometimes that's why people are afraid to be vulnerable too, because of how many times they have to retell their story, and it gets tiresome. It gets, I feel tired at the end of the day and I don't want to tell my story anymore. All right. If you don't want to share, you don't have to share. But I now know that you're not okay. So let's try to take baby steps to try to get you in a better place. So that way tomorrow you can show up to work, or tomorrow you can actually get out of bed, or you can actually eat a meal and you can start building some energy and different things. And I think that's why it's so hard for people to be vulnerable, because they just continue to tell their story over and people don't listen. So, I'm like, you share what you're willing to share. Now that I know you're not okay, now I can go to work. Now I can put some resources in place and different things. And whether it's a male or female or whatever, when it comes to veterans, I'm very upfront when it comes to veterans. Hey, before you tell me, I just want to let you know that I'm not a combat veteran. So if you're going to share anything super personal, I'm willing to listen. But my brother's a combat veteran. Let me get him on the phone if you want. And they can make that choice of letting me know what they're going through, or they can rather talk to somebody else, right? So I think it's me knowing what my limits are or what I'm about to jump into, and we'll go to work and try to figure it out.
Yeah. I think for Fritz and I, what we find, we have those aha moments a lot of times in our conversations, and I'm sure you do too when you're sitting down and you're working with people. And usually, our goal is to work with professionals, athletes, and veterans, because we want to talk to that high performance person that's right at the pinnacle of like, I think I have everything, but I'm missing that one thing, whatever that one thing is for them. So we have a lot of conversations about having all of the family and the job and the kids and the house, and there's this thing missing. And we get to talking, we do clarity sessions to start our conversations. We come in and we ask very specific questions, trying to hit in a certain area to make sure that we're hitting every base that we can in a short amount of time. Because what we don't want to do is dig a lot of stuff up or have you come to the conversation and probably overshare some things that maybe you weren't ready to share. But when we get to the end of the conversation and you hit those moments where they just kind of stare into the camera like, I totally forgot about that. Or, oh, that's what it is. I mean, they almost talk it out, right? It almost takes their breath away. Like, oh my gosh, you asked me just the right question at just the right time. And you get a lot of these emotions that make them feel like they're in the right place at the right time, talking to the right people. And we strive for that every single time. And that gives us the fuel, I think, to go into the next conversation, because we're both apprehensive. We don't know what it's going to bring out, and they don't know what we're going to bring out.
Right.
So just knowing that this communication piece is so important, and listening is a lot more important than talking. Like you said.
Yeah. Communication is a skill. It takes time, and it takes time to practice. And
Mhm.
connection takes time to practice. It's a skill, and being able to tell somebody that you're not okay isn't easy. And then on the other side, your side of the things too, of trying to work with somebody to be at their peak performance, it's attitude, it's beliefs, it's goal setting, it's meeting them where they're at. Here's where you're at, and now let's set some realistic goals. But what are your values tied to that? People sometimes forget about their values. What about family? What about determination? What about grit? Oh yeah. Is that you every day? Well, sometimes, but if that's you every day, then let's use that to help you achieve that goal. Or, I focus so much on, weight loss is kind of a common one. I focus so much on the benefits of weight loss. I'm going to feel, 20 pounds lighter. I'm going to have more energy. I'm going to get more dates. I'm going to whatever. But what about the barriers, right? I don't think about the barriers. Well, I work a lot. I don't eat enough food. I don't whatever. So it's that planning thing too of here's the obstacles, here are the barriers. Now I have a better balance, and that better balance is going to help me achieve my goals. So really kind of having a more broad picture of where I'm at, having that visualization, you know what I'm trying to say, visualization of how I'm going to get there. But also too, just mental health in general, of when I do feel that anxiety, that stress coming on, that's going to be a barrier. How can I be proactive? How can I be self-aware? How can I self-regulate my emotions to be able to overcome that barrier so I don't take 2 steps back? But if I do take 2 steps back, I can overcome that and take 2 steps forward. And sometimes we just get so stuck in going backwards, we forget how to go forwards.
Absolutely.
So I got a question for you, Mike, and I want to go back to men and vulnerability. So you touched on the piece where men may struggle coming forward because they don't want to share their story again because they're tired of sharing it because they've shared it with the last 5 people. What about the guy? And I think men have come a long way with vulnerability. I think it's much further than it was 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. But what about the individual that has that limiting belief, that grew up in that environment, that you suck it up, you be a man? How does that guy get to that point where he can say, hey, Mike, man, I'm struggling? Because that opens him up for being weak. And that's the belief system he has. So how does that guy get to that point where he can ask for help? Because I know there's people watching this right now that are that.
I would say set your pride aside and show some humility, right? Set the pride aside, show some humility, and put your trust in somebody that they're going to say, okay, let's talk through this, right? Because we have pride. And as a veteran, as a Marine Corps veteran, as a leader, as a social worker, whatever, I get it. I have a lot of pride. But at the end of the day, for me to be vulnerable, I have to show some humility to know that I'm not okay. And that humility is going to help me open up and show some vulnerability. And when I do reach out to somebody, I know they're going to be like, all right, Mike, let's talk about this. So for men, it's, I think, just setting that pride aside and being open-minded to show some humility and know that when you do reach out, it's okay to reach out. It's okay to talk about those things. And we don't need to dive deep right away. Maybe I just need to word vomit. I just need to get it off my chest. Fine. Let's get it off your chest. And then we'll figure out some next steps for the next day and next day and next day. Right. But I think for us men, it's that pride versus humility, setting your pride aside, showing some humility, and then reaching out to somebody.
Yeah, I like that. I think a lot of men they just need permission to feel and express. And
absolutely.
It's okay. And you don't have to be that belief. You don't have to be that environment. You can be you, and you have permission to be you. And it's okay to say, dude, I'm in this spot and I don't know what to do.
Yeah, absolutely. You bring up a really good point, because sometimes we talk ourselves out of it, and we have to give ourselves permission, right? Like, I'm not allowed to do this because if my dad or mom found out about this, they would they wouldn't agree with it. Or if my best friend found out about it, they would just tell me to suck it up. Well, that probably might not be the best person to reach out to, but I know this other person that I think would be really good. And in that moment, I'm going to set aside that pride, that suck it up mentality. I'm going to show some humility and say, hey, I'm not in a good space, right? So, yeah.
Well said.
Awesome. We don't want to take up too much more of your time. This is a really awesome conversation, and I put the title on here as tools in your belt. So, I know that's kind of broad, but it really is. Everything that we talk about is things that you can use, and depending on what your interpretation is or where you're at right now in your relationship or your work or, anything. If you're coming on, you're popping on and you're listening to this, reach out, whether it's to us at Own Your Life, or if it's Mike, find him on Facebook, find him on LinkedIn. And he's a great asset to have. And as a Marine Corps veteran, helping the National Guard in suicide prevention, I mean, he's worked for so many organizations and alongside of them that I'm sure that if he doesn't know who can help or for himself, then he will find you the person.
Absolutely.
Just like I did with Salute the Troops. And I know that I'm sure that Mark Preventure is going to be popping on here too eventually. Being with the WDBA, and there's so many resources out there. Just start with one person and trusting that one person, whether it be the three of us sitting here. We can help to guide you. We are not the I'm not sure, let me call you back, or here's a number, try it and you'll never hear from me again people. That's one thing that I prided myself in the most, was never just handing off somebody. I really wanted to make sure that they were taken care of. Because it's that one person that finally has the courage enough to come forward and say, I don't feel well. Let's get it figured out. Even if it's just in the moment, or if it's something long-term, we can help. So go ahead.
Yeah, I think too, when we talk about thoughts or different things, we tend to think about what is going wrong. Mm-hmm. Right? What is going wrong, but we can think about what is going right in our life too. We tend to focus so much on the negativity, we don't focus on what is going right. And that's just where the simple idea of gratitude and taking 5 minutes out of my day to go for a walk, or to appreciate my pet or my kid, or journaling different things throughout the day of, wow, this person bought me coffee, or I walked into this really cool coffee shop and I had a conversation with somebody and I'm grateful for that. Or, just eliciting more positive emotion throughout your day is going to help build you back up. And I think, last week when my car got stolen, it was like, how do I overcome this situation? And it was with gratitude. It was just trying to find those good things, even though the super awful thing happened. I really needed to force myself to find good things, and I did that. Right. So it's not easy, but if we can start thinking about more about the good things that go right, now I'm building better patterns in my thinking. Now I'm focusing on how I overcome this stuff, and I'm taking control of my own life and my own patterns and thinking, to not focus about what's going wrong, but let's focus on what's going right. And when they do go wrong, I'm going to be vulnerable and show some humility and speaking up, and trusting those resources that are out there.
Right. And we are part of those resources. And that's something too that we talk to people a lot is simple, right? 3 things down twice a day, morning and night, of just what you're grateful for. And it's funny how at first they start out kind of really just superficial.
Yep.
Maybe I had coffee this morning.
Yep.
And when they really start to write it, they start to become so much more aware of all of the beautiful things that life has to offer. And it really is a very powerful exercise. At first, it doesn't sound like much. You don't have to go buy a journal, just buy a sticky note and fill it out. You'll start to actually crave and want to do those things because you're so much more aware of what you're happy for. So
absolutely.
Just like we're happy to have you here.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Mike, for coming on with us. We
Yes,
appreciate
thank you.
very
Pleasure
much.
to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Absolutely.
Maybe we'll do it again sometime. Maybe we'll all be in the same room together. That would be nice.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
All right, Mike. Well, thank you so much. Have a great evening and keep doing what you're doing.
Great. Thanks so much.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, guys. Well, we hope that you enjoyed that. It was nice just to get another person's perspective, somebody who works out in the field and is a part of he is a social worker, but being a veteran and having dealt with suicide prevention and suicide himself, these times in our world is very strange, and we just want you to know that we're super aware, even as we build our programs and we have our kick in the ass platforms to get you out of your own way. We've never lost touch with who we are. We care so much about you, and we want to make sure that you have all the tools that you need to help every single day, no matter what.
Absolutely. So the really cool thing about having Mike on today, thank you again, Mike. That was just beautifully said today. But, you may not relate to us.
Mm-hmm.
And you may find Mike somebody that you can relate to. I'm all thumbs up, man. I told you, we got onto this thing because we love you guys. We're all about humanity. And if you relate to him, please, we will get you in touch with him, or you can we'll put a link on.
Absolutely, definitely.
So you can reach out to him. So if you're not comfortable with us, please reach out to him and get whatever help it is that you need. And that's why we're creating this. And that's a lot of the reason why we're going to start bringing on special guests like this, because we need to expand that resource network for you. It's not just about Kim and I. It's all about you guys.
It's all about you guys.
So the bigger we can build this network, the more tools, the more resources we can give you guys, then you know what? That's what this is about. So
that's right.
It was an awesome day.
Yeah, it's Tuesday already.
Yeah, wow. But we love you guys.
Thank you so much. Always gratitude to you for showing up. We will see you again later. Don't forget, Thursday, Real Unscripted Podcast.
And it's going to be awesome because I have no idea what we're talking about.
It's going to be great. See you guys later.